Hi there, it's Debbie from celestialastrologyhealing.co.uk, and today I'd like to talk about the forthcoming full moon in Gemini on Monday, the 27th of November at about 9:17, the universal time, that's GMT, and you would have to adapt the time zone for where you are in the world. So there is only one new moon and one full moon in each sign of the zodiac each year. And obviously, because the sun is in Sagittarius, all full moons happen in opposition to where the sun is. So the moon will be in Gemini, and it will be at 4 degrees Gemini, 51 minutes. So if you're new to my channel and you like astrology and like listening to what's going on in the heavens, I welcome you to subscribe to my channel. It doesn't cost anything. If you just get a notification of when I'm putting out a video, which is usually new in full moons and sometimes in between if I'm not too busy. But that also encourages me to share more astrological offerings about what's happening in the heavens. So thank you very much if you're able to do this. And also, I really appreciate the subscribers to my channel that have already done this. So let me just share a lovely image of Gemini so that we can think about the energies of what Gemini represents to us all in the heavens. So this is a lovely image that I found, which I thought represented the sign of the twins, Gemini, quite well, because there is a duality about Gemini. It's ruled by the sign that Mercury, the planet of communication, the messenger of the gods. Mercury is usually very quick when in the sign that he rules, like Gemini. At the moment, Mercury is in exile in the opposite sign of Sagittarius, but we'll go into that when I bring up the chart of the full moon. But yeah, Gemini, it's a masculine as in yang energy, outward expressing sign of the zodiac. It's an air sign, which is to do with ideas, thoughts, and communications, and journeys, and movement, and interacting with others. There's a sense within Gemini that you need another to bounce off ideas like ping pong, like bashing away or sending something out and getting a response. It can be fun, it can be debate, it can be argument, it can be jovial, it can be jest. Gemini tends to be quite light-hearted, usually, the energy of Gemini, because it's very light and quick. And as I was saying, ruled by Mercury. So it's a yang sign, as I was saying. All air signs and fire signs are yang energy, masculine energy. And the mind is very much ideas, thoughts, talk, writing, journeys. That's all very Gemini. And in the body, Gemini rules the arms and sort of the chest and arms and hands. So it's that sense of doing things, busyness, mutability. That's the sign, a mutable sign, which means that there's an adaptability about Gemini, a flexibility, a restlessness, sometimes living on the nerves, really, because the mind is very quick. With Gemini as well, and this will be affecting us all. Let me just share another image. I picked this one, but I don't really feel that it resonates with me. So yeah, this one here, this would be an ideal image of peaceful mind with that duality of Gemini. But I feel that this full moon will be having some different energies to sort of peacefulness, because all full moons bring up something into completion at full moon. If we think back to the new moon, which would have been around May, June in the summer, when it was Gemini season, it would have been new moon in Gemini. And if you can think about any intentions or what was prominent in your life about what you were wanting to seed and bring into fruition, now this completion is part of the end of the cycle, where there's a full illumination of what may have gestated, that you may have manifested, that's now in full sight at this full moon in Gemini. So yeah, topics and projects that are coming to an end of a cycle in Gemini. And if you have planets in the mutable signs of the zodiac, which are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, and if they're within a 3-degree orb to this 4 degrees. So we would say the orb allowance between 2 degrees and 8 degrees of any mutable signs, then this full moon may be more powerful for you if you've got your midheaven ascendant, IC, or any personal planets within 2 to 8 degrees of Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces. These energies may be triggered either by opposition, square, or conjunction, which may mean that you need to bring up, you need to face certain polarities within yourself, or challenges, or, it would accentuate whatever is being activated in your personal chart, which brings me to saying, if you haven't had your chart read, if you look in the comments below, there is a link to astro.com, which means that if you know your date, place, and time of birth, crucially the time, that can give you your ascendant that you can cast in the whole sign house system. And then you can see where the Gemini house and the Sagittarius house is in your natal chart, because that's the duality. The opposition is always what happens at full moon. There's a sense of tug of war, balancing, and trying to find that, that fulcrum point, because all opposition, 180-degree energies, the nature of Saturn is about sort of trying to find the balance, and that is possible depending on your own personal nature, and if you're good at compromise or recognizing other people's feelings as well. So what I might do now is bring up a chart of the heavens at the full moon, so we can look at other planetary weather that's happening, because this really does flavor. It's not just the moon that brings up our emotions and our sensitivity and feelings related to, say, home, family, the roots, the mother, and the dynamic sun in Sagittarius, which is about yourself and your self-expression for this whole month of Sagittarius. It's about whatever else is in the heavens, also scattering in their own ingredients, as it were, into the planetary cosmic weather. So bear with me, and I will share a screen of the chart of the full moon. So here is a chart of the full moon at the time of 9:17. That's universal time here in the UK, or maybe in Europe as well, because our clocks have gone back recently. So you would adapt it. It says London here. I'm actually in Scotland. So let me just point out some of the planetary activity which is happening. So as I was saying, there's the sun at 4 degrees 51 minutes Sagittarius. This will be set for Gemini ascendant. And the moon is at 4 degrees 51 in Gemini. So that is the full moon energy. Also, what we have happening, we have Saturn, which has recently moved direct in Pisces, having gone to about 7 degrees in June, retrograded back, and recently Saturn went direct on the 3rd of November and is at 0 degrees 58 minutes now, retracing his steps very slowly. But at the moment, Saturn is making a square aspect to the moon. I mean, it's a 4-degree orb, but the moon moves very quickly, so would have been at 0 degrees just a few hours ago, probably, not even that. So Saturn is squaring the moon in Gemini from Pisces, another mutable sign, mutable water sign, and the moon is in opposition to the sun, and the sun is also squaring Saturn. So this is called a T-square. So this energy, it brings in the opposition of having to balance the sun and the moon in Gemini, and the square aspect is something which is slightly challenging, which means you have to dig deep and overcome obstacles and difficulties at this time. So this energy will be happening for everybody, dependent on where your ascendant is. So this would be set for Gemini ascendant with the moon in the 1st house, Saturn in the 10th house of public status, your career, your vocations in life, and your reputation, and the house of relationships where the sun is. So I'll go into more of the planetary energies as well. What else have we got going on? We have got quite a big stellium in Sagittarius at the moment. So whenever there's a 3 or more planets, and at the time of the exact full moon, we've also got the ascendant in Sagittarius. Ascendant moves every couple of hours. So we've got Sagittarius ascendant at 23 degrees, 6 minutes, I think. We've got Mercury in exile. So far from home, from the house that Mercury rules. Mercury rules Gemini, so it's known to be far away from home, in exile, in the opposition, in the house of detriment in Sagittarius. And I'll go into what that might mean. We've got the sun, obviously, in Sagittarius here, and we've got Mars in Sagittarius. So lots of dynamic, fiery, restless, changeable, expressive, optimistic, freedom-loving energies of the sun here in Sagittarius. The sun in Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter in Taurus, currently retrograde until about the 30th of December. And Jupiter, by whole sign house, is averse to the Sagittarian house, 30, 60, 90, 120, 150. So Jupiter is in a sort of reflective space, going back over things in Taurus at the moment, not able to support the sun, 30, 60, but is able to support Saturn in Pisces here, because Pisces is also ruled by Jupiter in ancient astrology until Neptune was discovered in the 1700s. So Jupiter can help Saturn because he disposes of Saturn in this 10th house of Pisces, but isn't really able to help the Sun, Mars, and Mercury in Sagittarius there, because the 150 degrees in modern astrology, that's called a quincunx or inconjunct. In ancient astrology, that would be seen to be averse, because only the aspects of conjunction, square, trine, opposition, and opposition are recognized. Is that them all? I'm just trying to think. Conjunction, square, opposition, trine. Yeah. So those are the major aspects. But in modern astrology, there are other themes. So if you did think about Jupiter being able to see the sun by 150 degrees, there's a slight tension there. There's something that's a little bit not quite flowing, because it's sort of a bit irritated, and, you know, it doesn't flow and support, and it's a whole sign in conjunct, so we can't really interpret that in ancient astrological meanings, because they wouldn't recognize 150 degrees. But anyway, that's Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and Mercury is in Sagittarius ruling the moon. So as I was saying, Mercury is in a exile or detriment, being in the opposite house. Mercury is a messenger of the gods that rules our communications, our ideas, our interactions with others. And in Gemini, there's real focus and ability to weigh things up, because there's the two sides of the twins, and, you know, that fluidity and quick mind, quick thinking, quick wit. In Sagittarius, Sagittarius is really broad thinking, ruled by Jupiter, the largest planet of the solar system. So aiming that arrow high into the heavens, just trying to expand and take in and find knowledge. So Mercury is at home, far away from Gemini, and that sense of understanding things on a broad level, or, you know, big broad strokes, getting some information, but it's not necessarily all the information. Mercury and Sagittarius natives may gloss over some of the truth or ideas, or have a little sense of certain parts of information and ideas, but, you know, there's not the whole story there. So Mercury in Sagittarius is in a sign which isn't the easiest for Mercury to communicate from. And at the same time as this aspect, there is a square, an exact, pretty much exact square to Neptune, because Mercury is at 24 degrees 40 minutes and Neptune is at 24 degrees 54 minutes retrograde, slowly moving backwards into that square. So there is a sense of something to do with communications, and Neptune being the higher mind, the higher octave, interested in spirituality, belief systems, other realms, imagination, fantasy, dreams, romance, but also that sense of also the shadow side of Neptune can be foggy weather coming off the sea, confusion, delusion, misconception, being deceived. So there's something around Mercury square Neptune at this time, which means that we need to be aware of being given information that's maybe not the fullest truth of a situation, and we may be misguided, misled, And it would be important, therefore, to really double check information that you're taking in. It's like the news. I don't listen to the news. I find it really disempowering, and it's like it's filtered through whatever system the political beliefs are of that particular channel to disempower you. But just have a look at information that you're being told or communications that you're interacting with. Make sure you've got the whole truth, or double check, because of that square with Mercury and Neptune there. So recently Saturn moved into direct here. I just mentioned that. So Saturn is retracing his steps up to 7 degrees here, moving really slowly in Pisces, another card, mutable sign of the zodiac. It's about creating boundaries. It's about getting in touch with compassion, because the fish, the Pisces fish swimming in opposite directions, is very much a sense of the collective. So Saturn is being given a supportive sextile from Jupiter that rules Pisces, and trying to find a sense of boundaries, something concrete that we can use our wisdom, because Saturn is the old man of the zodiac, who is about responsibility and creating something permanent for the future. But that's not easy for Saturn in Pisces, because Pisces is a very fluid sign of the zodiac, very compassionate here. So I've got lots of arrows. Let me get rid of some of these arrows. We've also got Mars here in Sagittarius. So Mars is the planet of action, assertion, dynamism, and he's the warrior god, and he's already a fiery, passionate, assertive, courageous planet, and he is in a square to Saturn as well. So, you know, squares are of the nature of Mars. So it's about challenges, obstacles, things to overcome. Mars in Sagittarius, for all of us who want to just forge ahead, really be inspired and free and passionate and positive and optimistic. And then we've got Saturn, the old man of the zodiac, who says, just slow it all down a bit, just think about your responsibilities, plan it a bit more, create healthy boundaries, and also, think about your responsibilities. So there can be a slight sense of seriousness with wanting to go ahead with things, but Saturn squaring Mars, saying slow it all down a bit, think about others perhaps, because Saturn is in Pisces, and that may take put the brakes on things that Mars wants to forge ahead with a wee bit. But what else was I going to say? I've got Mercury and Sag. I'm just reading through my notes here. There can be heavy burdens and thoughts as well with Saturn, highlighted at this full moon, a sort of heavy weight or sense of restriction or limitation as well, because Saturn reminds us of difficulties and challenges that we have to overcome with perseverance and patience. So Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, and harmony and union, she has been in Libra for some time, and she still is in Libra here at 21 degrees, 22 minutes Libra. She is lending a supportive sextile to this house of Sagittarius 3060. Whole sign sextile to Mars and the Sun, and an actual degree-based sextile to Mercury and the Ascendant for the short time of this exact full moon. So, Venus in Libra, she's at home in the temple that she rules. It's about finding balance, harmony, being moralistically sound, being aware of others, wanting peace, wanting harmony, wanting what's just, because it's the sign of the scales and balance. However, as well as her exerting that energy, she's also in opposition to Chiron, and she's conjunct basically Ketu, the south node of the moon. She's in opposition to the north node of the moon, because she's conjunct within like 1 degree or so of Ketu, the south node of the moon. So this is going to send, an energy of some sort of weakness or depletion around how Venus can help us all find that balance. We'll know what's right. We'll know what we want to do. We'll know what we want in the world for peace and harmony and love and and understanding and union and smoothing things out so that there's no discord, but there's challenging aspects and depletion with Ketu, south node of the moon, a sense of diminishment, release, letting go, weakening Venus's ability to offer that support. It is there, but it's in a weaker sense as well. So I'd like to just bring up a chart of the house system before I briefly go into how this full moon may affect different signs of the zodiac. If you don't know your time of birth, you can listen in for your sun or your moon sign, see what resonates. But usually the ascendant is the most accurate because it changes every couple of hours, and it's really about you and your outlook, and it's much more personable, whereas the sun can represent masculine aspects of yourself or be related to the father, or the moon can be related to your home, your environment, your mother, things like that. But the ascendant is really about you. So if you look at this screenshot here, this might be something that you can pause and just look at the different house systems. So if you find out where your Gemini house is, and your Sagittarius house and your Pisces house, this just gives you a sense of what each of the areas of life are represented by the different house system. So let me just quickly point out with my annotate tool. Oh, that's not the one. Let me go back. Yeah, here we go. There's 12 houses. They start at this 9 o'clock position. If you were looking at a clock. So the first house is the helm of the ship. Mercury's joy, really about you. So this is the ascendant house using a whole sign house system. Your body, your health, your appearance, your identity, how you, your vitality. It's all about you, this first house. And we work in oppositions at the full moon. And the 7th house is an opposition. It's about your relationships, other people, partnerships, your clients, if you have an audience. Your 2nd house is about your personal skills, income, resources, your money, your ability to make money for security. And then when we go into opposition, the 8th house is about shared resources, money from others, karmic debt, money that comes in sort of ways that's not personally related to your income as such, but it could be rewards like bonuses, tax rebates, grants, things like that, and inheritance. The 8th house is about anxieties and death and things like that, endings. The 3rd house here is very much about communications in your local environment. It can be neighbors, siblings, aunts and uncles, or writing and teaching, short journeys. It's the house of the goddess in ancient astrology, opposite the 9th house, the house of God, which is the sun, the joy of the sun. This is further study, higher mind, philosophy, morals, learning, spiritual, religious pursuits, higher education, and other cultures and foreign shores and things like that. What else? Going around the wheel. The 4th house is the place beneath the earth at midday. It's a place of rest, home, family, land, ancestry, your roots, and it can be related to the parents here. It's a place that we all come back to. So the 4th house is really important on our birth charts, and it's opposite the house which is visible at midday, the house of praxis, which means action. So what we're seen to do in the public eye, if you're working, it's your career and your occupation, or it can be visibility. If you have, excuse me, vocations, things that you're seen to do if you're a parent and you're out there looking after your child and educating your child and doing all these different things, that would be what you're seen to do in your public life, your public image and your reputation there. So that's the 4th and 10th house in opposition. The 5th house here, this is the house of Venus's joy, the 5th house of pleasures, creativity, love, romance. It can be pregnancy and children. It can be the house of your creative entrepreneurial projects if you run your own business or have a sense of artistic offerings to the world. So this is a house of fun and enjoyment here, the 5th house. So that's always interesting to see in your own birth chart, and the ruler of that house will give you an indication of what's going on, even if you don't have planets in any of these houses. And opposite the 11th house of Jupiter's joy, hopes and wishes, your dreams, your fulfillment, money from career, supportive people in your life like community and tribe, your friends, your allies, others that support you, your network and your public audience. So that's 5th opposite 11th house. 6th house here, this is the house of Mars's joy. So it's one of the more trickier houses. It can be related to illness, health, service, work, everyday routines, and things that we do on a working basis when you're giving a service to others. In ancient astrology, it was called bad fortune. So I suppose this can be related to health as well. You know, sometimes illness shows up in this area of life because Mars can irritate, inflame, but it also can be a house of work and everyday life here. Can be related to your co-workers, people that you work alongside. And it's opposite the 12th house of Saturn's joy. This is the most hidden house, the isolated house, thinking of Saturn being the most distant planet of the solar system, the boundary. In ancient times, before the introduction of telescopes that would enable us to see past Saturn, he represented the last place where they thought it was possible to have anything exist. So it's about boundary, restriction, isolation, and it can represent places of retreat, hidden places like hospices, hospitals, libraries, places that people go to recover, you know, from addictions, things like that. It also says hidden enemies in this place, because actually this is the house of self-undoing. So if we have bad habits or addictions or ways that we beat ourselves up, that's the house of that. But it's also the place of our subconscious, our dreams and mystical things. So this is always quite interesting to learn about the houses, and then you can have a look in your own birth chart to see if you have planets in these houses. And if you don't, there's a misconception that these areas of life aren't important. But what you do, you look at the sign on the cusp of the houses, the ruler of these houses, and then you see what condition that that planet is in your birth chart to see the type of influence and likelihood of the sort of expression that you will find in your lifetime through this. So now I'm going to bring up the wheel for the different ascendants to give short interpretations of this full moon in Gemini. So bear with me, always tricky to try to, here we go. I'll just pause the recording 1 second. So here is the chart for Aries ascendant. And again, if you like my astrological offerings, I welcome you to subscribe to my channel. So what we can see here for Aries ascendant, sun or moon, we've got the moon is in the, sorry, I've got the wrong arrow again. We've got the moon in Gemini in this 3rd house, 1, 2, 3. We go around the chart like that. In the 3rd house of Gemini, and the sun is opposite in the 9th house of Sagittarius, representing the house of God. So there's a sort of idea that Gemini is quite busy and restless and doing lots of things, Aries ascendants here. So it's likely that this is going to be a busy time in your locality, you know, in your neighborhood, lots of maybe interactions with others, lots of chat, lots of short journeys, you know, leading up to Christmas, if you celebrate Christmas or winter solstice. You know, it's a busy area of life with lots of things going on, lots of journeys, lots of chat, lots of communications here. Given you this chance to also balance your drive for other things that are maybe going on in this house of God, of the higher mind here, which is related to maybe thinking broader, thinking more deeply, philosophically, things that are important to you on a deeper level of spirituality or religion, or maybe if you're thinking about studying or you are studying, this is the house of higher education here with Mars conjunct the sun, combust the sun actually, because within 8 degrees of the sun, and Mercury up there in that house. So it's about trying to find some sort of balance here. Also, if you've got anything going on with the courts that need decisions made by those in power, this is the house of courts and decision makers, people in high authority that can make decisions here. So that might be something that's active for you at this time. And Saturn is also squaring from your 12th house. So maybe looking at, deeper aspects of yourself, having a time to come into peace and taking time for privacy for yourself to reflect on deeper meanings in your life. And you've also got Neptune there in the 12th house. So there's a sort of sense of seriousness, reflecting on things that are important, busyness in your community, and this expression up here of what you can actually achieve and, bring into some sort of balance in that sense of higher mind and higher philosophy. So I think that's all I've got to say for that sign, Aries. I'm going to just try and shift it on here to Taurus ascendant, if I may. Just pause that. So Taurus ascendant, we've got the moon in Gemini, which is happening in your second house. So the second house of Gemini here opposite the 8th house. So there's a sense of something about your own abilities around your sense of security. You might be feeling quite restless. You might be in two minds, toing and froing. There might be a sense of mental thoughts and toing and froing, which can be quite exhausting for you, Taurus ascendant, sun or moon, because the moon in Gemini is very restless and oscillates between one thing and another, and it may bring up a sort of sense of what skills you have yourself for creating finances in the future. And it's opposite this sense of shared resources or money that you rely on or that comes in from others, in a sense of karmic debt, what you bring to the table, what others see of you, and how the esteem, how they think of you and your importance as well, and that recognition with that opposition to the sun there. And you've got Saturn. This is in the 11th house. So there's some sort of square running to the moon, causing some sense of having to dig deep here and, challenging you and your sense of security. And the sun is also squaring from this house of other people's money or, difficulties, or there can be anxieties actually in this 8th house here, and Mars can inflame as well. So some fears may be rising at this time, Gemini, ascendant or moon, in relation to some sort of seriousness, or maybe older people in your social group can help you, because Saturn is in the 11th house here. People that you can maybe rely on, that have compassion towards you, may be helpful at this time. So you've still got big changes going on in your first house, with Jupiter offering an expansion and growth, and sudden unexpected things happening for you in this first house. And Venus in Libra in your house of work and duties. So, there's some sense of potential shifts and changes, trying to find harmony and a recognition of what others do for you in your life. Gemini, Taurus ascendant. So moving on to the next sign of the zodiac. So here we have Gemini, ascendant, sun or moon. And obviously this is a very powerful house, because it is the first house about you being at the helm of the ship, with the moon in Gemini here. So it's bringing up and highlighting your sense of emotions in the first house, your feelings, memories, maybe related more to mother figures of feminine people in your life. Maybe big changes you're feeling come into the fore, Geminis, because this is in your first house and it's adaptable and it's changeable. Thinking about what's going on, how you're changing. And then that's in opposition to your house of partnerships, where we've got this very dynamic energy. So this energy may be related to you, or it could relate to your partner if you're in a relationship, with this dynamic opposition here to the sun in Sagittarius, with Mars there, fiery. It could represent your partner having lots going on, lots of dynamism, lots of shifts and stuff that's affecting maybe your sense of self. Or it could just be that you have to find a balance here with how you interact with others, because Mars and the Sun and Mercury are in this house of relationships. It can also be related to your clients and audience. If you work in a sense of serving others, so it can be those that you serve. And you've got Saturn also squaring from the 10th house of praxis, your career life, your occupation, your social reputation. So there's a sense of seriousness about what Saturn brings, the wisdom that you hold in your public sphere, in your vocations, or your outside public reputation, with Saturn squaring the moon here. Maybe there's a recognition of something that needs to change, either be adapted or constrained some way in your work life or what you do publicly. And the Sun is also squaring Saturn here from the house of relationships and clients. So it's like working to overcome some obstacles or some recognition of shifts and changes that maybe need to happen here. And I'm sure there'll be some deep reflections, because Jupiter is in the 12th house of Taurus, the hidden house, looking deep within at your subconscious, paying attention to your dreams, and big shifts and changes potentially happening here. So that's what I've got to give for you. And also recognizing that Venus is in your 5th house. So Venus is joy. So, creative projects, entrepreneurial ideas that you have, what you've got to give birth to, this is a, still potentially possible here, because Venus is in Venus's joy in this house of Libra. So I hope that's helpful for you, Gemini ascendants. I'm just shifting through this quite quickly to give them short interpretations. They may or may not resonate with you. So this is Cancerian ascendants, Sun or Moon, if you don't know what's going on for your time of birth. So this is showing that the Moon is in the hidden house of Gemini, the 12th house. Just trying to get my annotate tool, but it's disappeared. It's in the 12th house here. Here we go. 12th house here of Gemini. So as I was just saying, this is the hidden house. It's the furthest house from the helm of the ship, which is the 1st house. So there's deep reflections here, Gemini. There's maybe a sense of, Cancer ascendant, because the moon in Gemini is really busy, but it's in a private area of your life. So maybe when you're on your own, you've got lots of this sort of toing and froing, lots of ideas that you're sort of trying to process, maybe after trying out new things in your life. And it's a time of reflecting upon those, going into your subconscious, trying to find a sense of stability and making decisions for you, because it's opposite your house of work, duty, everyday life, self-sacrifice, where the Sun and Mars and Mercury are here in Sagittarius. So, you've probably got a very busy daily life, lots of busy activities going on, Cancerian ascendant. There could be some conflict at work, perhaps in your daily life, if you're of a working age, because Mars is combust with the Sun here in your busy life. And it could inflame some health issues for you, because Mars does cause inflammation and irritation or discord of some sort, and this is the house of health. So just pay attention to what's going on for you. Try to find ways of practices that can help you be more peaceful, relaxation, meditation, breath work, things like that, peace for yourself, to come back into yourself. And also Mercury here in the house of detriment, in Sagittarius, make sure the facts are accurate for you. as well as trying to be as truthful as possible in your daily life there. So we've got Saturn squaring from the house, the ninth house of God, the higher mind, 30, 60, 90, you know, finding practices from your deep spiritual beliefs, things that are really important to you, your philosophies and your morals that can help harness that energy of the moon there. And you've got the sun squaring Saturn from this house of work. It could be about teachers as well. Having Saturn in that ninth house could be related to a serious study, because it's the higher mind, thinking about what you can do for the future, for more long-term plans in that house of either higher education or further study, where Saturn will be for the next 2.5 years. So thanks for listening, Cancer Ascendant. And now moving on to the next sign of the Zodiac, which is Leo Ascendant. So Leo Ascendant, the moon is in the 11th house of Gemini. Bringing up my annotate tool here. There's the moon here in the 11th house. This is Jupiter's joy. This is a good house of hopes and wishes, your dreams, your hopes from your career. If you've got an occupation, it can be money coming in from what you do publicly. So whatever those skills are that you're seen to do in the public world, the house of career, praxis, action, vocations. It's maybe you've got many ideas here. Maybe you need to harness them in a bit, but it is a house, a positive house. The 11th house of Jupiter's joy, and you've got the sun and Mars and Mercury here in the house of Venus's joy. So there's a sense of, you know, Venus is about pleasures, love. It can be sex, romance, children, your creative projects. It can be about babies, pregnancy and babies, creativity here. So there's a sense of having to balance something about your creative projects and what they can bring. And it can also be about friends, community that support you, because this 11th house is the house of your allies, your tribe, benefactors. So there's something there going on, but it's maybe also related to this Saturn, which is about money from others. So maybe some of you have benefited from inheritances or money that comes in a sense of reward, and how you can use that to implement change for the future in a more long-term, concrete way, with Saturn wanting to create something for the future. And Saturn is in that house which is related to hopes, related to anxieties and fears, but also the house of what other people bring to you. Can be inheritances, it can be shared resources, recognizing what others bring in a sense of karmic debt to you, but hoping that this is helpful for you, Leo ascendants. So moving on to the next sign of the zodiac, this will be Virgo ascendant here. So Virgo ascendant, this is quite a powerful area of life for you, because we've got the moon in one of the angles, the 10th house of Gemini in the chart, and we've got the sun and the stellium of planets in the 4th house of praxis, and we also have Saturn in the 7th house. Yeah, sorry, did I say 4th house of praxis? No, it's the 10th house of praxis, the public house, our reputations. That's where the moon in Gemini is. And we've got the stellium of planets in the 4th house of home, family, roots, our ancestry, the land, property. So this is a very dynamic T-square going on, because they're in angles of the charts. So the 1st house is in an angle, the 4th house, and the 7th house and the 10th house. So this is very dynamic for you, Virgo ascendants. You know, there's something about home and family, which has got some energies going on, perhaps quite a lot of clashing energy, some discord, disruption, agitation, fiery, disruptive energies of Mars combust the sun there, with maybe some communications not being so clear, with Mercury in detriment in this house. The sun is always positive in Sagittarius, though, so we can always tune into the positive aspects of that. But there needs to be some sort of truth which is expressed around topics around home and family. And then the moon up here in your public house of Gemini, some busyness, maybe projects coming to fruition in the house that represents you in the outside world and your reputation there. And Gemini, it can change, it can change. There's two sides to Gemini. There's a serious side, and then there's a fun-loving light side. And then you've also got this square from Saturn in your house of personal relationships. So this can be romance, your partner if you're in a relationship, or it can be business relationships or your clientele. So the sun is squaring from the fourth house of home and family to Saturn. It's about long-term commitment. It's about a sensitivity towards others. And then Saturn is also square in the moon, maybe restricting a sense of, or making you feel a burden about your career life or the responsibilities that you have in the outside world. But also you have got the element of Venus here in Libra, wanting to create security here, using your own resources, slightly weakened with Ketu there. But yeah, that's what I can see going on there. Pluto is also at the end degrees of this house of Capricorn related to children and things like that. So yeah, I hope that's helpful for you, Virgo ascendant. So moving on to the next sign of the zodiac. I don't know what I've done there. Yeah, here we go, sorry. No, that's the wrong thing. Just pause for a minute. So Libra ascendants, thank you for bearing with me. I'm quite new to doing these interpretations. I much prefer to do personal birth charts where we can really look at what's going on. But yeah, this is quite new for me. Doing these shares for all signs of the zodiac, and some of it may resonate with you and some of it may not. But if you have your personal birth chart done, then it's really, really very specific to you. But so Virgo, Libra ascendants, we've got Gemini in the ninth house of God up here, and we've got the sun and the opposition happening in your third house of locality. And we've got Saturn in your house of work and service to others, making that T-square. So this, yeah, it sounds like for some of you Libra ascendants, it might relate to overseas travels because this is foreign shores here. There's a sense of opportunity, ideas, expansion, further travel here. Or it might also represent things about studies that you've undertaken that you maybe bringing to sort of more completion here, because it's the higher mind and further education. And Gemini is very much about ideas and using the mind and journeys and studying and interacting with others. So there might be something positive coming to a fore at this full moon of completion. And it's also highlighting the fact that there's a lot of busyness going on in your everyday life, your journeys, your short journeys, your communications, if you use internet and technology, how you work with that in your daily life. Lots of busyness here. With Mars conjoined with the Sun and Mercury here. It could also indicate some conflict with siblings, because this is the third house of siblings, aunts and uncles. So with Mars conjoined with the Sun, combust with the Sun, there may be a little bit of conflict going on with some siblings for some of you Libran ascendants here. But it might also, you've got Venus in your first house of Libra. Venus wants to be harmonious and peace-loving and do things in relationship and be aware of other people's needs. So you've still got that to harmonize for you. You've also got Saturn in your sixth house of everyday life and work and service here. And this may be related to doing things differently in regard to your health, or trying to implement some new changes, which is going to be more long-term for you in this house of your health and everyday life. So maybe you're going to start new healthier regimes, because Saturn encourages endurance, using some regular routines that can help you in the future, you know, but it may also bring up a sense of, you know, if you've got any health conditions that have been niggling away at you, maybe trying to resolve them. Saturn in Pisces, I suppose that rules the feet. I don't know if there's any energies related to health conditions for feet for some of you Libra and ascendants, but certainly it would indicate to try and create some healthy regimes in your health. Otherwise, you can see a sense of restriction or burden or limitation here of what might be holding you back there. So I hope that that's helpful for you, Libra and ascendants. Moving on to Scorpio ascendant. Get rid of that arrow from the previous. So Scorpio ascendant, this is happening in your 2nd and 8th house axis. The moon in, let me move that. The moon in Gemini is in your 8th house, highlighting what others bring to the table, or the attitude that others have of you and what you bring to the table, your skills, shared resources, money in from others, rewards, maybe some bonuses from work and from your skills that come in there. And it's opposite this house, which is very active for you. There's a seriousness around using your own skills to create security, with Mars being quite dynamic and busy and active and assertive in Sagittarius. Sagittarius sun being expansive and, you know, positive and busy and restless and using lots of different skills, and Mercury in Sagittarius here adding to that. But, you know, also being aware that, you know, find out that the truth of situations, because that Mercury in Sagittarius is in exile. So what you feel that you know might not be quite as accurate, because Mercury sometimes, for the broad strokes in Sagittarius, you know, doesn't give all the information. And as I was saying earlier in the video, there is a square also from Neptune in this house of, what a mess I've made. Yeah. There is a square from Neptune at 24 degrees Pisces to Mercury in the 2nd house. So, you know, let me see, Neptune in Pisces, fantasy, imagination, romance, dreams, creativity, you know, all of those things that you'd like in your romance life or in your creative life. There might be some sort of lacking in reality check going on with Saturn here, who will be in this house for the next couple of years, retracing his footsteps in this house of Venus's joy, but making sure that you've got a sense of clarity, reality. You know, check the fine print, you know, basically, because communications may be a bit woolly and foggy and unclear with that that square from Neptune there. What else? We've got Venus in Libra in the 12th house, you know, trying to bring some sense of peace and harmony, and at times of reflection, you know, in this hidden place for you. You know, you're wanting to find some sense of balance and cooperation with others, but you have to find that within yourself as well, finding out what things are in balance in your life. And there are opportunities here with Jupiter. Will be going direct on the 30th of December in this house of relationships. So there may be opportunities for you for new beginnings within new relationships, personal romantic relationships, or it could be business relationships, you know, your business clientele. But we've also got the spanner in the works with Uranus causing sudden change and unexpected events happening. You know, you might have short-term brief relationships here, or some new ideas within this area of life for you, Scorpio ascendants, sun or moon. So I hope that's helpful for you. And then we're moving on now to the Sagittarius ascendants, sun or moon. So this is quite dynamic, again, because it's happening in the houses that are angles of the chart. So we've got the moon in the house of Gemini in the 7th house, opposite the 1st house of the self. Where's my arrow gone? Here we are. So these are dynamic angles, and we've also got the Saturn square coming from the house of home and family here, Sagittarius. So there is a sense of, you probably have lots of energy. This is your time of year, Sagittarius. You know, the sun is going to be in Sagittarius and has been in Sagittarius since, I think it's the 23rd of November. So just a couple of days before the new moon. I'm just double checking my notes. It changes every year, sometimes slightly. Yeah, the sun went in on the 23rd of November. Mars went into Sagittarius on the 25th of November. Mercury went in on the 10th of November. So yeah, all this dynamic energy in the house of your own self-expression, your outlook in life, how you show up in the world, your drive, your vitality. Sagittarius, this is very powerful for you. You know, you will be optimistic, you'll be full of energy, full of drive, and wanting to bring things out to the fore, you know, in the house that you share with others, in relationships here, or it might be your clientele if you've got business things on the boil here, or any entrepreneurial projects. There's a sense of needing to find balance within your relationships, because you could be highly assertive, with all this dynamic combustion here, with this fiery Mars in Sagittarius energy, and Mercury, you know, also giving you that sort of broad stroke, thinking that you know everything, but actually there's probably a few details that you need to tighten up as well. And we've got this square from Neptune to Mercury, you know, with some cloudiness, some fogginess, some unclear communications here. So just double check the fine print. Or if you notice things within your own ideas and knowledge and skill set, you know, if there's gaps there, think about how you can fill them to bring forth more clearer communications. And there is Saturn also squaring from this house of home and family. So there may be some sense of real, some heaviness or burden or acknowledgement of responsibility within this home life and family life, you know, which is definitely going to, you know, restrict you or feel heavy or hold you back in some way, or give a sense of, okay, plodding it along much slower pace here, because Saturn is the old man of the zodiac, who encourages us to take time, to persevere, to think long term. And there's a sense of compassion, being aware of the collective feelings, but it is related to home and family, ancestry, maybe reflecting on parenthood, you being a parent, or your previous, you know, parents related to you if they're alive, or your ancestors, and a sense of what you take on at home within your home environment, how that feels for you, Sagittarius ascendant. And you've still got the Libra you've got Venus and Libra in her own house. You know, there will be some support from friends and community. There could be some benefits from your career as well, because this is a second derived house from your 10th house if you're in the working sphere. But there won't be as much strength for Libra to be as offering of gifts, you know, for you. She can be about money as well, and financial things. But because Ketu is conjunct there, it won't be quite as strong for you at this time. And if you've got any health issues going on, we've got Jupiter in this house of Taurus here, will be going forward on the 30th of December. So maybe you can resolve some health issues here, and maybe move forward with ideas around work and your everyday life, with Uranus throwing in the curved ball of sudden change or innovative ideas, or being more independent in that daily life. So I hope that's helpful for you, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or ascendants primarily. So I'm just going to now move on to the next sign of the zodiac, which is Capricorn. Thanks for bearing with me. It gets quite tiring doing this as we go through all the different signs. So you can probably scroll along and see if there's any timestamps for your actual rising sign at the bottom. I don't know if YouTube does that automatically. Sometimes it does. So for Capricorn ascendants, sun or moon, we've got the moon in the 6th house of Gemini, which is the house of Mars's joy, which is related to your daily life, your routines, your work, your service to others. It also has a bearing on, it can be the house of pets. It also has a bearing on your health and vitality, so may bring up some sort of restless, nervous tension, energy around daily life there. That's the house of Mars's joy, where the moon is, you know, bringing up lots of ideas. Maybe it's hard to get your mind to be still and set on one idea. And we've got the sun in the 10th and the 12th house of Saturn's joy, the house of reflections, being hidden away from the public sphere, in a place of retreat and privacy, seclusion. You know, there's going to be these energies to balance here with all this sort of fiery energy, stimulating lots of ideas, maybe wanting a sense of freedom and space and, you know, expansion, with Mars agitating the sun in Sagittarius, with ideas and broad thinking themes here for you to reflect upon, but they may be more in your subconscious. They may come up in your dream life. And yeah, it's a private area of life for you, Capricorn ascendants. And you've got Venus in Libra in the house that she rules, in your house of career. Just double checking that's right. 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. Yeah, this is the house of your career or social status, trying to offer some sense of peace, harmony, and ability to be diplomatic in that outward area of your life, but not as strong as she could be, because we've got Ketu, south node of the moon, conjoined there. You know, Venus wants harmony and peace. There could be irritation. You know, try not to beat yourself up or use addictive practices, because the 12th house is the house of self-undoing, and Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, who likes to indulge and do lots of things to the you know, grandiose ways, overindulgence, you know. So whatever habits that you've got or ways of relaxing and unwinding, if they're addictive practices that aren't helpful for you, maybe just be aware of that at this time of the full moon. And you've got Saturn in Pisces here in your 3rd house, 1, 2, 3, making, you know, part of this T square. So Saturn is, you know, making a square to the moon in Gemini, needing to sort of harness things long term, you know, things that are in your everyday life of responsibility within your neighborhood, you know, around your home. That might also relate to siblings as well, something serious, or you know, things that need to be taken on board about your relationships with either siblings, or how you do things on a day-to-day life, in your regular life, journeys, responsibilities. Also, it could be related to teaching and how you express yourself. So something long-term there, with Saturn moving through this house of Pisces, your 3rd house, for the next 2.5 years, retracing his footsteps, maybe going back over what Saturn brought up for you from March to June before he retrograded back, with your hopes and dreams also influenced by Neptune in this everyday life. So there could be great imagination and creativity, but also a little bit of cloudiness and unsurety around creative pursuits that you can bring in to this everyday life. So I hope that that is helpful for you, Capricorn ascendants, their sun and moon. Moving on now to, trying to talk and do things at the same time, moving on to Aquarius ascendant here. Aquarius, we've got the energies of this full moon in Gemini happening in your 5th house of Gemini, which is Jupiter's joy, with the sun in the 11th house of Jupiter's joy. So these are nice houses for you, Aquarius ascendants. It's tying in energies of pleasures, fun, creativity, fun, enjoyment, and also supportive groups, community, tribe, people that are helpful to you, that help you manifest your dreams here. So, you know, you may have lots of ideas that you've wanted to bring to fruition, particularly if you work with the moon cycles, maybe ideas that you had back in the summer of 2023 when the sun was in Gemini at new moon. I think it was the end of May, it may have been June. I didn't check that today. So ideas that you had planted seeds of maybe come into fruition now in this house of entrepreneurship, being at this point of full moon completion, coming out to be seen. How has it all developed for you in this house of creativity, manifesting at this full moon in Gemini? What ideas have you managed to bring to fruition? How has that come to the surface here at this culmination point of full moon? And you know, this house of Sagittarius in opposition, you know, and how have your friends or tribe or community supported you to bring these ideas to fruition here? Because this is a very full dynamic house of Sagittarius for you. There may be some conflict in groups happening around this time of the full moon, because we've got Mars, excuse me, combust with the sun. Mars can bring up discord, some disagreements. They can be fiery and quick and expressed in a sort of quite combust, angry manner. So just be aware of that at this time of full moon for you, Aquarius ascendants. And at the same time, it might be quite a positive thing as well, with the sun going through Sagittarius for this next month from opportunities in your career. So there's a dynamism here, but just beware of the potential for fiery outbursts and conflict within your friendship groups. And we've got Saturn squaring from your second house of Pisces, which is related to how you can implement long-term plans for using your own skills over the next 2.5 years. And Saturn in Pisces is aware of the collective and a sensitivity towards others. And in Pisces, the fish swimming in opposite directions, it can be hard for Saturn to put the boundaries down that he needs to make these concrete plans, because Pisces is ruled by Jupiter. Where's Jupiter? Jupiter is lending a sextile to Saturn from the house of home and family. So maybe there is some support there, a whole sign sextile overseeing Saturn here, disposing of Saturn. So, you know, there's a sense over the next period of time till May next year that support from home and family, parents, may be helpful for you to implement your own skills and create that long-term security with that going on. And we've also got Venus in Libra up here, Aquarius, in the house of God, a sense of, you know, finding others that share your own ideas and spiritual paths or religious paths or philosophies and morals. You know, that may be helpful for you, although not quite as strong with Ketu here conjoined with Libra here. And you will be tying up, you know, the Capricornian energies in the 12th house. So you've got the last year or so here to tie up these ends of deep reflection in this Capricorn house, which is the hidden house. And, you know, you may have had a feeling of new opportunities for stepping forward into your own power when Pluto moved into Aquarius for the first time. I think it was March the 21st, 2023, giving you that sense of independence and being able to use and express yourself in your own power. But you're tying up ends, self-doubt, reflection on these hidden aspects of yourself. So you've got the opportunity here to tie these ends up here before Pluto moves into Aquarius and stays there in November 2024. Pluto will be moving back into Aquarius again for a short period of time, the 21st of January. So you will have a sense of what is possible again, but he retrogrades back in September 2024 and finally moves back into the first house, where he'll be for about 19-20 years, Aquarius ascendant. So there's big shifts on the horizon for you. So thanks for listening. So now moving on to the next and final sign of the zodiac. Thank you so much, Pisces, ascendants, sun or moon, for being so patient. Being the last sign of the zodiac, we tend to go here last. So thank you. And this will be quite a dynamic area of life for you at this full moon time, because again, it's in the mutable signs of the zodiac. So we've got the moon in Gemini, Pisces, home, family, your roots, your ancestry, the land, where you belong. It can be related to property as well, parents. And you've got the sun in the opposite house with Mars, Mercury in the house of what you're seen to do publicly. And this is the house of praxis. It's about your public reputation. So you're maybe working really hard up here with all these sort of broad ideas, this sense of expansion, hope, and opportunity for what you can manifest in your, excuse me, public world. Just have a wee sip. Of your vocations, your occupation, your career world, or your public reputation, what you're seen to do in the outside world there. So this is a really active area of life, and it's finding that balance between home and family and all the ideas that you have going on at home. There can be lots of changes, but maybe things that you planted seeds for back in the summer 2023, May, June, are coming to fruition around the home life. Things that you'd hoped to manifest. Maybe they have manifested, or maybe they've not manifested in how you had hoped. Pisces, ascendant, sun or moon. And we've also got this Saturn square from your first house of Pisces. So this is a very, very powerful area for you to have Saturn in your first house, because the first house is about you. And Saturn will be in your first house for the next 2.5 years. And Saturn does remind us of what we can do, what we have the skills to implement, our wisdom, our knowledge, our abilities, and how we can shoulder responsibility to take things into the future. So Saturn did move into your first house of Pisces around March 2023. And moved to about 7 degrees in June, and then he retrograded, but he's recently gone direct. Let me get the date again. On the 3rd of November, he's started moving forward. So maybe reflecting back around March, what was coming up for you around how you want to approach life, how you want to show up in the world, how you can create boundaries around being aware of other people's needs, because it's in a compassionate sign of the zodiac. Pisces is the fish. It's sensitive, it's water, it's flowing. But Saturn needs to create something solid, something more concrete for the future. So what came up for you? What was showing as a potential for you around March? Because this will be happening. You can develop this. You can become more expert. You can persevere in this over the next 2.5 years with Saturn in this house, about you, about how you can take more responsibility, how you become wiser, gain more expertise, and use this sort of sense of what you can offer and show up in the world. It can be a time where you can lack confidence, because Saturn can remind us of what's lacking and what needs to be changed. And then it's about confidence as you get more skills and refine your abilities in life, Pisces ascendant. So this is very dynamic for you. And Venus is in the 11th house of Libra, which is about how others see you in your the self-esteem of others. You know, they're what they see, and there's a sense of peace and harmony, recognition, but it's slightly weakened with Ketu there. Venus isn't as strong, but she is in the home that she rules. Anything else to say? Pluto is in your house of friendships, groups, and communities. So it's likely that you may let go of some relationships, groups that you've shared experiences with that have been helpful for you. I don't know what age you may be who are listening to this channel, but Pluto's been here for about 20 years. So there may be a sense of endings, letting go, purging away old relationships in your groups, houses here, people that are helpful to you, or have been helpful, and you've outgrown that sort of sense of having that connection. So there could be endings here for you in certain group relationships. So I hope that is helpful for you, Pisces ascendant. And yeah, I basically have gone through. It's just reminding everybody at this full moon in Gemini that there is that square with Neptune to Mercury. So just make sure that you've got all the facts. Be aware of that nervous tension energy, busyness of mind, and try and take time out for you to find that center point of balance, between the sun and the moon. Have a peaceful moon. Oh, excuse me, that's my phone going off. And yeah, I hope that's helpful for you. We only get the one full moon in Gemini each year, and there can be a lightheartedness about Gemini, so have some fun as well. Be youthful, because Gemini is the Peter Pan of the Zodiac. Enjoy being with children, enjoy doing light-hearted things, and yeah, focus in on the positives and send out that light at that full moon, the reflection of the sun, our inner self, our spirit, our soul's purpose in life. In Sagittarius, being hopeful, wanting to expand, and that Gemini opposition of coming to fruition at this full moon with a light-hearted energy. So thanks for listening, and yeah, if you're interested in a personal reading, get in touch. I will be doing a special offer for Christmas gifts for people, that I can do personal live Zoom readings in January, February next year. So watch this space for that. Bye for now.